Hello everyone, welcome to AWS Tutorials. In AWS Tutorials, you'll learn about AWS services. Today we are going to learn if you are building a Glue ETL pipeline or job and you want to perform merge operation on Amazon Redshift database table as a target, then how do you do that job? So let's get started. So just to understand the problem statements a bit better, suppose you are building a ETL pipeline like this, where you have some source data which could be residing into S3 bucket, which could be residing into another relational database or other place, and you are building a Glue ETL pipeline which is trying to bring this data from this source data set and want to merge into Amazon Redshift database table. So basically when you're trying to merge the data, the way merge operation works is that if your source record, if your source record and destination record, that means the record in your source database and record in your Redshift database table, if both are matching, both exist, then you update the record. But if the record does not exist or there are no matching record, then you simply insert the data. And today we'll learn that if you want to build an ETL pipeline which can perform this kind of merge operation, how do you do that? And it's pretty straightforward and pretty much configuration driven approach, but it's a new feature which got released as a part of Redshift support into Glue Studio for building ETL pipelines. So it's worth knowing it and worth learning about it. So how exactly you solve this problem? As I told you, it's a pretty simple solution because you have to use one of the outer box target data action or target data node in Glue Studio to build your ETL pipeline. So basically when you are using Glue Studio to build your ETL pipeline, you can go to the targets action or targets node, and there you'll see something like a target for Amazon Redshift, which you can use to write data to Redshift database table. And basically it provides very much native support for native integration with Redshift database table, and it supports operations like append, where you can always append the record as a new record in the table. You can perform a merge, which we are going to discuss today, and merge is still under preview. And you can truncate, where you say first delete all the records in the target table and then insert the records which are coming through the ETL pipeline. Or you can also drop and recreate table, where you simply drop the whole table and recreate the new table with the new records which are coming with the ETL pipeline. So these 4 different types of operations you can perform if you're trying to use this target node in Glue Studio for building your ETL pipeline. But today we are going to focus just on merge, and as I mentioned earlier, that this feature right now is under preview. So so if you're using target node of Amazon Redshift, how does the merging of source and target works? And basically there are 2 configuration approach you can use. In one, you have to simply do configuration. In other, you have to write some kind of SQL statement. So let's go through, understand both options one by one. So the first one is when you can simply go through a configuration based approach, where you say that, okay, let's try to match records based on one or more column between source and target. So suppose you can say that, okay, from my source data, if my customer ID and email ID, both column matches in the target, then based on that you perform a merge or like insert or update operations. So basically all you do in this approach is that you can do configuration where you can say, okay, let's match on certain column values, and based on that decide whether we have to do a merge operation or not merge operation. So assume that you decided that I will use customer ID and email ID for matching my records. In that case, if your source record and your destination record both have matching email ID and customer ID, if matching happens, basically you can perform two operations. One is you can update the record, the target record with the source record. So if the records are matching based on the keys, based on the columns like email ID or customer ID, then you can decide to update the target record with the source record, and target record is in the Redshift database table. Or you can decide let's delete the target record. If the matching does not happen, suppose that there are few records in the source for which there is no matching column ID and customer ID in the destination. In that case, again, you can decide two types of action. One is that, okay, let's insert this record as a new source, or you decide to do nothing about it. Okay, if there's no matching, do nothing about it. But basically, when you are performing a merge operation, basically the way you work is that you look into a matching of both source and target records, and if the matching happens, you update the record. If matching does not happen, then you simply insert the record. That's what merge means. So this approach you can take, which is more of a matching based on the columns, and if you do that, it is completely configuration driven approach. The other option is that you can also create a custom merge statement. Simply write a custom merge statement, a SQL statement. And the statement looks something like this, where you can actually do a SQL operation between source and target, and then you can update your columns in the target based on in fact you can do update, or you can do update, insert and delete, all kind of operation based on certain match condition. So choice is yours, where you want to go through the first, which is just based which is merge based on certain column values matches, or second where you can go you can create a custom merge statement. When you're writing a custom merge statement, of course you need a skill, you need a knowledge how to write a merge statement, but there you get more flexibility to create a much more complex statement. While in the first case, all you are saying is that simply match on certain column values and decide based on that whether match is happening or not. If match is happening, record, update the record. If match is not happening, simply insert the record. Okay, so two options you have. So how does end-to-end solution look like? It's pretty straightforward. So all you're doing, let me bring my mouse here. So all you're doing, you're reading your source data over here, and then you are doing change schema, and I will talk about it later. And then you are simply inserting into the target Redshift as a target with your merge configuration, which one of the two choices I discussed earlier. So now you might be wondering that, I mean, it should be pretty much read the data and do the merging in the target. What is this change statement doing here? Why I introduce a change statement? Well, you don't need a change statement if you are working with like creating a custom merge statement. If you're writing a custom merge SQL statement, then you don't need change schema. But you need change schema if you're going for the first option, where you're saying that match on source and column, because in this case, basically it expects that your source schema and your column schema is the when I say schema, I'm saying the source schema and column schema is the same. And in that case, it sometime it might happen when you're reading data from the source, like your source column and your destination column sometime could not be the same. Could be they might have different names, like customer ID could be customer number between source and column. So if you are trying to use the first option where you have to match on keys or matched on the column, there the schema has to be the same. So in case your schema is not the same, then in that case you can use this change schema transformation to match the schema first, and then once the matching of the schema happens, basically you can then start writing to the target location. And for matching, it's pretty straightforward. All you have to say, for instance, that suppose my target has customer ID, check number, and amount, while my source has customer number, check number, and amount like this. Then in that case, all you have to do is simply change the name of my source key to a matching to match it to the target key name and target data type. And once you do that, then you can simply use this configuration driven approach to perform the merge operation based on matching keys, matching columns. So time for a demo. It was very small presentation. So all we are going to do over here is we have some S3 based source data, which we are going to we have cataloged it, and this we are going to use as a source data. We'll create a glue job which will simply read data from here, and it will have some records which will match to the destination, some will not match to destination, and then we'll configure our glue job in such a way that it merges the record based on the column match. So that's what we are planning to do in the demo today. So let's move on to AWS Management Console. Let me show you few things which I have created to save time. The first thing is that I have got a Redshift cluster in place, which I'm going to use as a destination location. And then in the Redshift cluster, I created a payments table, and this payments table has the following records. So it has the following columns: customer ID, check number, and amount. These are my destination. This is my destination columns, and I have three records: 103, 104, and 105 with the three customer IDs. Okay, so this is my destination location. Now this is how my source S3 data look like. I've got my payments as one of the data which I'm going to use as my source data. If I show you the catalog of this data, so my payment data, this is how this is cataloged as my payments catalog table. And if you look at the schema over here, you'll find the schema is different because it says customer number, check number, and amount. So if we try to compare this to destination, here it is customer ID, check number, and amount, and here it is saying customer number, check number, and amount. So schema is different, and I kept the schema different because I wanted to show you how you can use change schema to match the schema between source and target. Since I'm going to use my Glue Studio target node, I created also a glue connection. And this glue connection is basically connecting to my Redshift cluster, and I have configured login and password for my glue connection, so that this connection I can use in my glue job to connect to the destination target as Redshift. Now let me also show you how does my payments, my source data look like. So remember, my source data is in my payments table, and I simply say select start from my payments, and if I look at the record over here, it also has three records: 104, 5, and 106. And if you try to compare that to existing record right now, so you can see 116 records are here. So 104 and 5 are in the target, and 104 and 5 is also in the source. That means my my target, these two customer IDs or customer numbers should be updated, and I'm going to match on customer ID, by the way. And 106 does not exist in my 106 does not exist in my target location, so this should be inserted. So that's how I'm going to perform the merge operation. Now it's time to create a glue job. So I went to Glue Studio and then I clicked on Visual ETL Job. It gives me this pan where I can create my glue job through Glue Studio. I selected Visual with a blank canvas and say, let's me create the job. So job is opening up the canvas. So let me close the left hand side so I get more space. Let's go to job details and say, give the job name, say merge. Merge Redshift job. Okay, fair enough. And let's see a role, IAM role, and in this case I'm going to use Dojo Glue role. And then I kept everything out of box. So the glue version, language, worker type, everything I kept out of box. Number of retries are 0, so all good. So let me save this configuration. So now my job detail configuration is getting saved. Yeah, here we go. Saved. Now let's create my job. So my first step is to read data from the source. So I simply go to my source and say I want to read data from my glue catalog. And in glue catalog, you can see I have got Dojo database. And then under Dojo database, I have got my payments. So remember I showed you this catalog information over here. There we go. Here we go. This catalog information where I have got this table, my payments under Dojo database, and that represents data stored in this S3 bucket location. And I showed you also the output of data through this Athena query. So this one I have configured my source. Simply I'm reading data from this S3 bucket location. Now I know that my output schema is customer number, check number, and amount, which is not how my target schema look like. So I have to change schema first. So I simply go to my action and say I want to change the schema. And the way I want to change the schema is that this customer number should look like, here we go, customer ID, and my check number should look like check number. And just for the sake of matching the schema completely, I will convert my data type from long to integer. This one is string and this one is decimal. Here we go. Okay. So now I have converted my schema in such a way that my customer number becomes customer ID, my check number becomes check number, and my amount becomes amount. And let me quickly check my Redshift thing. So I have got customer ID, check number, and amount. So it's matching. So customer ID, check number, and amount. Fair enough. So now I have changed my schema. Time to write my target location, which is in this case is Amazon Redshift. So I simply go to Amazon Redshift and let's start configuration. So you have two choices. You can use connections and you can also use catalog. But if you want merge operation, then you have to use connections because you need a native integration with Redshift. So in this case, we selected data connections. And in this case, I can select my Dojo Redshift connection. And it will start fetching my details, say, hey, this is the database you have got, what schema, and say my schema is public. And under the public schema, my table is basically payments. So I simply selected my connection and I fetched my, selected my schema and my table. Now it's asking me 4 operations, whether you want to append or truncate or drop and recreate or merge. In this case, we are going for merge operation. So I simply selected merge. And here again, you have got 2 choices, whether you want to enter a custom merge statement or simply choose based on the key. And I want to choose based on the key in this case. So I simply say, simply match on customer ID. And just because here I have to provide the column on which we have to match. That's why I told you that my source column, my source column and my target column both should match, and that's why I have to introduce this change schema transformation in between to change the schema on the fly. And then it simply says, okay, when match, what do? When match, simply update the record. Yeah. And if it is not matching, simply insert the record. That's what I want. Let's go to this performance and security. And here I simply want to make sure that I have selected my role over here. So that's pretty much I need to do in my target. I can do so many things here, but in this case, I simply go for merge operation, select for the key-based matching. If I choose this option, that gives me a text box where I need to provide my merge statement, but that's not what I intend to do today. Simply I'm saying, since I'm choosing key for the matching, select which key you want to match, and then say if match happens, what to do. In this case, update. If match does not happen, what to do, and in this case it is insert. And I simply save it. So now my job has been saved. Now it's time to run this job, and if everything is fine, it should do the merge operation. So I have started my job. Let me go to runs tab over here, and you can see my job is in progress. So let's wait for job to finish, and then we will see the outcome in Redshift to see, we'll see the outcome in Redshift to see if the merge operation has happened or not. So let's wait for job to finish. Okay, so you can see the job has succeeded. Now let me go to Redshift cluster and run this query again. And when I run this query, you can see that my merge has happened. So now if you look at my this new key 106 has been introduced, and now 103, well no, let me see, and 104 and 5 should have been updated with BOHQ and 1, 4 and 3, 2. And if I come over here and say 104 and 5, yes, BOHQ and 14 and 32. So you can see here that the matching keys has been updated, and for the non-matching keys, the insert operation has happened. So my merge has successfully finished in my Redshift database table. So yeah, that's all I wanted to show you, that how you can perform merge operation using a glue ETL job. Yeah, hope it was useful. And if you like the videos, click on the like button. Please subscribe to my channel. I promise to come back again in a week's time with another such video. In the meantime, please stay safe and have a nice day. Bye bye.